lab, you thank you. For the lab activity, you can wear lab activity days, the two middle days. You can wear pretty much whatever you want. Jeans are fine, casual clothes are fine. If you'd like to be business casual, you can do business casual as well. Um, and we'll be pretty sedentary those days, so no need to wear your hiking clothes. And then out the for the fourth day, you'll probably want hiking clothes and boots so you can move around comfortably. Just to have on your person each day, you'll want to bring your backpack, laptop and charger if you have one of those, notebook and pencils, water bottle, cell phone, just your basic things that you'd bring into work. And then additionally, sunscreen is really important at high altitudes. Hygiene products, toiletries, phone charger. The hotels might have a pool, so you might want to bring a swimsuit, and then any other supplies you need to feel comfortable. So pretty simple, just general what you might need. I don't think this is missing much anyways, but if you have any questions about this, you can let us know. And you can also screenshot this list. We will also make it available on the website. And right here, we are starting. Oh, there's a question. Sorry, I didn't see it.
So will there be an opportunity to look at data from specific areas where we are working?
So yes, there will. I'm going to go back a couple slides. Okay, maybe I can't go back a couple slides. There will be time. So in the mornings, we'll be showing people how to get the data from the websites, and then you can follow along. We'll already have the data pulled that we'll be using in the notebooks, but during those times where you'll be following along, you can actually follow along and pull the data for your regions of interest. Depending on where you're at will depend on the scene coverage for emit and ecostress, which are the two instruments. However, a lot of these code you can still apply with other data sets like Landsat, for example. So yes, there will be time for that. And we actually encourage that if you're comfortable to go on and use this to apply it to your own regions as well. Was there any other questions? Okay. This is the WhatsApp group. Feel free to scan this QR code. We'll be using this for communication during the course. It'll be with facilitators and participants. So this is a great place to ask, okay, where's everybody meeting at this time? When you land, if you want to coordinate a ride to Boulder from the airport, this is a great way to do that. So this will just be a great place for us to just quickly ask questions, any logistics. You want to go on a hike after the course, you can plan this here, up to you. But just wanted to make this portal available to everybody as well. So feel free to scan this. We can also probably put this on the website too if people want to scan it later. And I think those were all the main logistics. Rachel, did you have anything to share? Casey?
Let's see, I made a list.
Okay.
Okay, we talked about agenda, the WhatsApp, the website. I put in the chat already. I started adding logistics information on there. So if anything on there might be helpful as far as bus routes, things to expect when you're in Boulder, transportation. So we tried to answer anticipated questions. We are looking into helping coordinate folks travel from the airport if they're flying into Denver to get to Boulder. So we do have the times of your arrivals, and we will try to be connecting people if you're interested in carpooling or sharing an Uber. The bus is really easy as well from the airport. It's $10. And remember, you will be receiving your stipend as well. So we'll help coordinate that. But if you have any questions or wants around that, just please let us know, and we'll be in touch about that soon. Electrolytes are very helpful. Jim put that in the chat. Yes, I've lived out here for 20 years and I still get super dehydrated. So let's see. And then packing list, we did that. There's a couple of people who haven't filled out their stipend form, so make sure you do that paperwork so we can have your stipend check available for you when you are here. If the forms are filled out late, you'll still get your check. It just might have to be mailed to you. I think that's everything on my list. What questions do people have? Yes, Araya.
I was going to say there's also the bio and photo. If you can fill out the bio and photo form, that would be great. And we look forward to having you all on our GitHub.
And I'm going to find that link and put that in the chat again as well. So is there a way to verify if we did all those things? So like the stipend form, Casey has emailed those who are still missing their form. So if you can search for Casey. She emailed yesterday, right, Casey? She sent out reminders to a couple folks who hadn't done them. So just search your email. If you did not receive an email from Casey yesterday, then you're good. But if you do have a question, Casey, do you want to put your email in the chat? And you can always check with Casey to be like, hey, did you receive my form? Okay, and then I'm putting the photo bio in the chat. Okay, any other questions? Thoughts?
You can say what you're looking forward to. If you're nervous about anything, we can clarify. We are here to help.
Just want to say thank you, and I'm excited for this opportunity. It looks really fun. I've engaged with folks a lot at NASA JPL. Several folks, and that's actually how I heard of this opportunity. And so, looking forward to learning more of what they do specifically, rather than I just do mostly like community engagement with them, things like that. And so, it is exciting. It's really fun to be able to kind of learn how to digest and use some of this data.
Awesome. Yes. We'll have some JPL folks there too that you might know. I have a feeling you met Kelly, right? Kelly Lewis? Yeah, so she'll be there with us. So it'll be good to have some familiar faces there as well. All right. Well, yeah, we'll be available by chat. I'll stay on if questions come up, but I think we can pass it back to Jim.
And Jim, I do have this recording right now just for the folks who couldn't make it. Is it okay to keep it rolling
bet.
as we Okay.
You bet.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. I think I know a few or several of you, so I apologize to those. You've probably seen some of the slides I've talked about. I put together a presentation for the NASA ESO staff and how to work with tribal communities. And I was thinking, do I make a new one for you all? And I thought about it and I made one and I thought, no, you need to see what they saw. And for one thing, you could rip it apart, help me make it better if you want. I feel I take criticism and feedback. So if I'm wrong on something, please, is my first stab at this to put together something. But I have using those same slides, similar ideas to kind of for us to talk about. For you coming from a TCU or a tribal community or a tribal government or students. So there's a mixture of flavor of this for everyone. So I'm gonna just start this presentation. I'll probably go through it quickly, but you can have that. And there's some of the slides are just over detailed, but it's for your viewing for later and others for viewing for later as well. Just wanted to make sure some of that detail is there to have later. Like I said, I accept feedback or criticism. I want to, make sure we're on this journey together in a productive, safe way. How Jimmy Machiab, Sichangu Lakota Atehan Uelo. Hello, my name is Jim. I come from the Burnt Thigh, the Rosebud people. I'm an enrolled member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe and happy to be here with you. The top title was the title I gave to NASA faculty and ESO faculty, and just changed a word, I think, or two in the bottom one for you all, but just making sure you see what's happening. This is a new, this is new technology, new things happening. And I think I'm trying to make it as transparent as possible for you all, and especially for our tribal government partners who I've been working with. I've been working a lot with TCU, but you know, it always boils down to tribal government offices and to make sure they can see this and understand it and want to be a part of it. And um, so I'm the ESOL Tribal Resilience Data Scientist. Been here for almost 2 years. 12 years before that, I was faculty at Oglala Lakota College with my old partner in crime, Jason Tennant, over there in the screen. He really helped. He was probably the first person to help me see the path towards Earth data science. He's Jim, you need to program. You need to get into this other stuff. Like, nah, GIS is good. I'm good with GIS. And sure enough, I ran into a lot of obstacles with Arc, not with the actual software with ArcGIS. Well, yeah, with it, but the idea behind it. And I'll be explaining why you should do more. Yes, still use Arc. It's still my favorite software, but there's so much more to do more with your data. So thank you, Jason. Took him 3 to 5 years to get me there, but I finally did it. And so welcome everyone. Looking forward to this event. Yeah, I really like the inclusion of tribal representation that NASA and ESOL really open this up to tribal communities. And just to give you, you know, ESOL, we know we partnered with AHEC, and that really helped us. Y'all know what AHEC is, American Indian Higher Education Consortium. That gave us a boost from working with a few tribal colleges to, I don't know, where we at, 15, 16, 17 tribal colleges we've reached out to. And now we've working with, I don't know, getting maybe close to 8, 9, or 10 tribes we're working with, but that AHEC really helped boost us. You know, most universities work with just a few tribes in their region, but we're a synthesis center, so we do everything nationally. And so anyway, just really enjoying the new initiatives happening on inclusion, on bringing Indian country into the picture. Here are just a brief description of my job description, but is to mainly work with you all at the TCU university level, to tribal governments, in tribal NGOs, tribal communities, you name it, all that. Trying to work with James Rileyleaf on filling in that missing link in between working with universities and our tribal partners. And this is what I got this from teaching for 12 years and being a student myself at a tribal college, is when we think of, I tell them, when we think of science, we think of it differently. Not everyone, but many, to where I made a couple slides out of it. And so I tell this to everyone. We think when you're sitting there talking to me about Earth data science, about NASA imagery, you know, ESOL data cubes and sovereign enclaves, things I'll talk about. But usually I've noticed students really speak up on this. And these next slides will kind of tell you that, like, when they're thinking that, this is what they're thinking. How can I help my community? How can we empower each other to help our community? Of course, this is of the community where I come from in the northern area. But I am always telling people, this is how can I help? Now it's how can I help my students, or help you help your students, or if you're students, but we're thinking of how can Earth data science benefit us? Why should we do this? You know, because everyone, especially if you're from the res.
Hey, Jim, I'm sorry, my friend.
Yes.
Apologize. Did you think you were sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Jason. Aren't I sharing? It says I am. Oh, it's not now. Jeez. Man. Well, can you guys see it now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
So anyway, that would just kind of go back. I'll put the link in here to these slides. That was just my telling you what I'm getting out of the Indian country community is, when we think of why should we do this? How is it going to help our people? Oh, that needs to get out of there. And so these are just like, sometimes a lot of getting out, how can I help my community? Like every class I taught, especially GIS classes, all the students wanted to do something that affected their immediate community. They didn't want to do a GIS project in a different state using some random data. They wanted data on their res, particularly in their community, which unfortunately they usually had to create it themselves because a lot of tribal data doesn't exist. But why should I do this? And how can it affect things? Like a lot of them was, how do I learn more and protect my favorite berry bush? As an example. Or gee, there's a auto salvage right next to the creek. What's happening there? That don't seem right. And so those are things where I pushed ESOL and pushed NASA and other government agencies. If you're going to train them, they want to be trained on their own data. Don't train them on some other state or some other country. No, don't do that, and I encourage you to speak up in that way too. And this came from my wife. She taught a class at OLC, and she had a class, I think it was all women in that class, but they came up with the red van, white van thing, huh? And so do you want to be, a lot of entities come to reservations and do things, right? Whether you're a nonprofit, a church, a university, private schools, they're usually come and they're one and done and they're out of here, right? Get their videos, put it up on YouTube, and maybe they did a good thing. Sure. But do you want to be a partner? And so they came up with the red van versus white van. Do you want to be a long-term partner and form long-term meaningful relationships? So I really push this. And it's also called the red bus. At a different conference, I called it the red bus accidentally, but it's supposed to be banned. So they took off with it and called it a red bus initiative, but same thing. And so something cool happened last year at our ESOL conference. We just had our second ESOL conference last week, but here we talked about, let's bring in all this NASA data. We want to work with big reservation-wide data, something bigger than my laptop can handle. Even if I got myself an $8,000 laptop, I still not going to probably do reservation-wide big data, high resolution data. And so and I'm going to get to these later in some images, which are easier to talk about because there's a lot of words here. But the point is, and what you're going to learn here is you're going to learn about these big data sets and the importance of this training on leading you to learning how to work with notebooks and get away a little from your traditional GIS, your favorite GIS program. You can still do it and they can work together, but just the importance of bringing in this data and saving time. Like I got after Jason got me interested, I took a training with Neon, and one of the instructors did something with USGS water data using, I think he used, I don't know if he used R or Python, but with 2 or 3 lines of code, he went and did more. That would have taken me 3 to 4 hours of what he did with just a few lines of code and had it ready in a map. I'm like, oh my goodness, that would have taken me half a day or maybe longer to do that. And I was sold on learning these new methods of learning how to work in a notebook. And so this group is just the most unique group working with all of that. How do we train ourselves to work with faculty, the university faculty? How do we bring in data sovereignty? How do we work with tribes and TCUs? So this group is leading a charge, and it's multi-tribe, multi-TCU, multi-organizations and university on trying to work with high-tech geospatial solutions. And so they're just getting ramped up. Their first meeting is in a couple of weeks to get things going and to work on creating a data cube, which I'll talk about. And I encourage you to think about that, especially with the NASA data. And if you want to do things reservation wide or regional wide with your data, and also to learn how to communicate with people with NASA and ESOL, people like ESOL, data scientists, conducting meetings with tribal presence. So these are things I tell them, and maybe you already know this, maybe you didn't know it, but the one big thing I learned, and I've been to tribal kickoff meetings where I've been to some different tribes, but they kind of have the same idea. Like when they invite their tribal elders, or maybe it's a tribal committee or a tribal board that's overlooking the tribal office. They're usually, a lot of time they're elders, just very knowledgeable. And just to make sure, one thing I tell everyone is don't mention time. Our time is coming to an end. Plan on staying an extra hour or two when you have these meetings, or if you're in a meeting like that, expect that to happen. Make sure they have that time, and make sure you call upon them. Make sure they're called upon, and they're there to guide us. Introductions, yeah. That's why I didn't have you all do your intros. Man, I know how natives do their intros. We'd still be doing them if I let you all have your time, which we're going to do when we see each other in person, and I want to tell where my grandma and grandpa and my mom and dad, and they're part of my intro, my longer intro. And I get that. And I tell students, make sure you do your cultural intro if you want. Don't let anyone take that away from you, make sure they allocate time for you for that. And pictures are another thing. Even though you sign for one, you sign off. A lot of times we have events like last week, our innovation summit. We had a lot of tribal partners there, and we had a tribal room. The data sovereignty team was created, and although they knew pictures were going to be taken, I still went up to them and said, "Are you okay if we take pictures of this room?" Even though we asked them before, because sometimes they might want a chance to put on sunglasses or turn their face or leave the room. It also acts as a reminder. And I encourage you to work with your partners to do that too, when you work with people like NASA or ESOL. And so we kicked off Earth Data Science a little over a year ago with AHEC, and started talking about it and formed a working group, which I've never seen before. Usually when universities work with tribal university and government entities, do something with TCUs or governments, like let's dive in, write a grant, and do something cool. Well, this offers, let's talk about it first. What's it mean? What the heck is Earth Data Science? And what's it why should we do it? And so we talked about it for a few months before we start branching off that working group. So, well, here's a training opportunity. Here's a demo. And so this was a great kickoff, and the working group is still alive today and going with AHEC. If you want to be in on it, let us know. It's held anywhere from every 2 to 4 weeks. Attendees can be anywhere from 5 to 25, just depending on that particular date and probably topic. But yeah, here we're talking about just higher geospatial tech ways, which I'll get to here shortly. And so working with tribal data, one thing I want to mention here is if you're working with an entity that has NSF funding like ESOL, keep in mind that typically if the universities don't know, and if you don't know, all that's public. Whatever you did with them is public. You could tell them, hey, I'm doing this with you, but this part don't make public. They can do that, and you can both tell NSF that. Although it would be nice if NSF made it a more transparent, knowable thing that it's okay to not publish certain tribal data you're working with. You can call them and ask them and say, hey, is this okay? They'll say, I've heard from them, they'll say yes, if you just let us know. We're a phone call away, but it'd be nice if there's more of a thing, that we all knew about from the beginning. But it's there, and so know that. So when you do trainings with NASA, ESOL, whoever, just make sure you know what's happening. If you're going to do a project on your res, finding that favorite berry bush, know that could get published. And I'll have an example of how we pulled something off like that without having an agreement. It was kind of after the fact. That is understanding tribal data membership. Just who are you helping? Who do you want to be helped? Do you want to help tribal communities? Do you want to help a tribal student? I kind of think of Boulder. Boulder I had a recent meeting with I forget, he's the native director at CU Boulder. You know, he mentioned something about tribal numbers went up a little when they said tribal members can get in-state tuition. He and I both kind of just like, but are they enrolled? And are they just checking a box to claim native to get that? You know, I think that's how they have it set up. So numbers could be different. So I say that because are you trying to help a tribal student, or are you trying to help a tribal community? You know, and to think about that and to it, because the best way to help a tribal community is to help someone probably born and raised there and maybe even still there, but sometimes they have to leave for grad school or leave for some experience. But that's kind of what I've been noticing. Data sovereignty. I'm going to show you here coming up with our enclaves, what we're doing for data sovereignty. I've seen this being talked about for about 20 years, but I haven't seen the data, the CI talk, cyber infrastructure that's protecting your data. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here coming up. But what's that look like? How do you relay that and talk to tribal your tribal council, your tribal offices about this? How do TCUs do that? How do universities do it? What's that really look like? So that's something we're working on. And a new group just formed last week, 6 different tribes. One from, there was a guy, he was at Navajo Tech, I forget his name. I'm sorry. And forming the digital part behind data sovereignty. What's that look like? There some people have made some ways with tagging data and all that, but what's it really mean? And then the last week's group decided, hey, we can't just call it data sovereignty. We need to call it intertribal data sovereignty and make templates. We can't make data sovereignty for other tribes, but we can help each other out. So here is where we're going with data sovereignty. So what you're going to kind of learn is more on the data cube side with your training. NASA data can be one of these plots over here, and you're going to do all kinds of geospatial stuff, work with layers. If maybe there come a point in time where you can work with big data. Big data, I mean, as in maybe you want to do reservation-wide something eventually that gets you in the terabytes of data. It's going to need to manage outside of your computer, right? You need to go to the cloud, work with partners. So sovereign enclaves is what we're putting behind data sovereignty. This is what it looks like protecting your data behind the scenes that we don't ever talk about or see. And so we're going to interpret this. Our CI team made this, cyber infrastructure team, and our data scientists. But we're going to sit down with them and say, what's this arrow mean going from here to here? Where do the keys go? Who has the keys? How long does a key exist if you give it to a student, for example, to have access to some of your data? Or if you have a university partner, you want to temporarily have it. How do you tag that data? How do you trace the data? All that, our tribal government representatives need to understand that and see that to say, oh, I see the security functions and how this works for tribal sovereignty. So we're really going to work on ways to protect things like your data cubes. And I'll explain. I have a slide here on, this is the best I can do, and I'm still working on this. I'm used to the one on the right, the GIS method. So we have all this method over here on GIS. Usually it's on your computer, but you can go to Amazon, Google with any data, right? But we want to stay away from that. And so the other side is you could have this system on your system if you want. Maybe you have your own nice fancy computer stack in your office. You can have this on there. Maybe you need to share it temporarily with someone to do some analytics. But this the newer methods over here that we're working with tribes on. And this is one of the things that group 16, that intertribal group working on data cubes is working on. And so on just having a place for data. So GIS is, ArcGIS is kind of it's on your computer. Maybe you have a website. What if you lose your GIS person? What happens then? You know? And yeah, Esri offers a nice hub to put your data, but it doesn't offer a network of scientists, engineers, a whole network like these new working with university partners on open science, like you're going to learn. And so it not just comes with you learning how to run a notebook and do some work with NASA data and do some analytics with ESOL, but it also offers this team. We're there there's so many people there to help you. For you to email, to call after the training's over. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I protect my data? It's just this big community that I just fully love and embrace, because I've been doing ArcGIS, for 23 years. And I still love it. It's still great. And I still use it a lot. But, I need this too. I need them both. This is working groups. I kind of talked about working groups, kind of show you example of data cubes, expanding these ideas. Here's an example of something Jason and I worked on, just creating we couldn't do LiDAR for the whole res because it was too big. So we did basically each town is the biggest we could do because the LiDAR sets got too big. And this is when I realized I really needed to embrace learning how to operate a notebook better and learning how to partner with people to help train me more and just do more with my data. And so this is just all LiDAR product data of our college center sites, LiDAR products, but we can only do small locations, like I just said. And so, yeah, teaming up with our, people who've already been doing it, such as people like NASA and ESOL, to how can I do more with my travel data and how do I do it safely? And so we're both protected. And here's one that I kind of dove into, and we just had to block everything. We weren't ready for the data sovereignty part, and we're still not. And I don't see it happening really anytime soon, because it takes a lot. Talking about it's easy, but doing it's a whole lot harder. And getting a tribal government involved is, so we just blocked everything out, said the students worked with LiDAR, learned how to do Python, learned how to work with, NASA, INSAR, Sentinel, and, all kinds of remote sensing. And so they did a cool thing on their reservation that really was close to them culturally, but also got to learn science and data science behind that. And so, so my point in showing this is be careful on the data you show. You might not get someone like me that's willing to just block everything out, or the university. They might just say, well, you did it with us. We have to publish our data. We have to do yearly reports, and we're going to talk about what you did with us or your students did with us. So just know that when you work with outside partners, and maybe you probably already do know that. And so one thing we're trying to do along here with NASA and with this group is a lot of trainings have just been for students. And so I think bringing on faculty is another big initiative, and now expanding to tribal offices, tribal community, which is cool. I haven't seen this big a movement until these last couple of years, be so inclusive and together as one. And so I think we're doing things together. We're stronger that way, and we can help each other out, lean on each other, share resources, network. Oh, this is for my white colleagues. Yeah, but here's what I talked to them about. Call them by their tribal name. What I'm getting out from tribes, tribal governments, tribal students, tribal citizens, we have a name. I'm not indigenous. I'm Lakota, and I want to be called Lakota. I don't want to be called indigenous. Last year's group, in fact, got rid of the name indigenous in their title because ESOL originally put this is an indigenous effort and all, and that tribal group X'd that word. They said, no, we're native people or we're tribal people, and so that was interesting. I learned something there. They said, don't call us indigenous. Call us by our tribal names. If you're talking about the whole country or the whole continent, sure, there's a place for indigenous, but we were talking about a specific group of people were there, and they were all tribal people, and so they wanted to be called by their actual tribal names. So that was interesting. And if you have something to say or you want to bring anything up, feel free just to jump in and say something. I'm almost done here. So offering back, I'm always telling, and you should tell this too, to NASA and ESOL, how are you going to give back? You're taking our students for the summer for an internship, let's say. How are you going to give back? Sure, you trained our student. How are you ESOL has me, I left OLC. How can we give back? How can we continuously work and do more? Do more is what I'm saying is ask your partners to do more. So you trained us. That's great. Last week, Phil Tuigo from Rosebud Sioux Tribe, he said to the group at ESOL, he said, I come here with my laptop to learn with you. I go back home to my stone tools. Don't forget about us, And so that's powerful, I thought. And I thought, yeah, that's the case. We come, we do a training, and then, gee, what do I do with my notebook now? How do I change? So giving back, ask your partners. Be sure to tell ESOL and NASA later, I want my notebook to be customized for my res. I want to be able to bring in your NASA data for my location, for my particular spot on my res. Make sure you get that out of them after it's over. Maybe you don't want to do it during the training, just for the sake of getting through the training, but make sure you're taking good notes in your notebook off the side. Say, here, I need to change this link or change this to be on my research site or my interest. So just ways of making sure we all get something out of this. And just extra notes. I like to tell students in particular, speak up. I've gotten more done by speaking up than being shy and bashful, who I normally am. I'm normally a pretty quiet introvert, but man, when it comes topics like this, I've learned to speak up, and things move faster and better when you speak up. Talk about what's happening. And another thing I like to do during trainings is a lot happens, and it can happen fast during these trainings. You're going through live training on a notebook, and usually they're recorded. And so I like to write down the time my thought in question was in my notes, either in my notebook. I think you're using Python or R, I don't know which. Either way, write down in there a little note saying, I need to come back to this recording to this spot so I can relearn it or change something here. I really, that's really been helpful to write down that time in those recordings to go back to reconnect with my thoughts. Like I said, the tribal data thing. That's all I have. Any questions, comments, issues?
I wasn't paying attention about slide 4 to 6. Could you go back through those for us?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, nice talk, buddy. Appreciate it. I was teasing you. I was just giving you grief.
No, got to show up. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, Python ISS. So, you can do the same with both R or Python for what we're all doing, why Python? Earth Lab, which came before ESOL, kind of like sister labs, industry asked them if they could switch to Python. Industry was using Python. Academics, let it, you know, definitely the ESL team are all into R really, but a lot of the newer stuff they're putting out is all in Python. And that, I don't know why else, it doesn't matter. Learn one and learn it well, you know, is really the thing. And what's cool is what ESL's doing is creating data libraries, which are so cool. And I don't know if HYR-SENSE made one. Maybe we could make one. If not, is a data library, which is so cool. It's a GitHub page, a web page basically, that lists all your data and the links to your data in little, it looks like a paragraph long of how to bring it into R or Python, which is super cool to leave behind till you have access and link. Where did you get your data? How do you bring it into Python or R? Data libraries are so awesome. I love them.
We do have a HYR-SENSE GitHub where all of the notebooks will live after the course. So as far as a data library, I'm not entirely sure, but I can talk to the team about making sure we have that set up. But all of the notebooks will be openly available after the course, so you can continue to use them. People will retain their Cyberse access even after the course, so you will still have a cloud computing environment to work in even when you go back home. So that's just some things I can add, and we'll be sure to give time and support for making the data available onto your tribe's land and where you're from, and making sure we're able to coach people through how to change those. So those are all great suggestions, Jim. Thank you.
What else? Anybody else got any comments, questions, issues, concerns, curiosities? I will put this in the chat. You're welcome to have your own copy if you would like. Any feedback is welcome. And I'm still learning too. I'm here to help you in any way I can, whether that's working with NASA or ESL, help bridge those gaps, and so on. And well, if you're not going to talk, I'll talk. Yes. Like I said, we are a national synthesis center funded by NSF synthesis. So that means we do things nationally, not regionally or locally, or it's just housed at CU Boulder. It's made up of many entities. Like University of Arizona is a huge part in this. They bring in the CI, cyber infrastructure, the sovereign enclaves I talked about. They're huge into this. And Oslo, France, Brazil, right? Or we have people from there, those entities there, and it's, international really. And so, yeah, we work very closely with Oglala Lakota College and United Tribes. They're partners in this. So they get the full package of whatever they want that we can offer. But other TCUs or tribes might just want a little help with some cyber infrastructure, or maybe they just want a little training, or maybe they just want us to come into your classroom. Or I've spoken to tribal offices like land offices or WADOF just to give a little EDS intro. There's different levels we can work with you. And we can write grants with you. You can write in for ESL time, or we can just help you write the grant. If you need, we could bring in our data scientists or CI people to help you with that language if you need help with, proposing to put in some data science into your initiatives or CI, can help with that too. Does that help? I answer that question on partnerships.
And I just want to add to that, Jim, is
Yes.
that, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, it does help. Sorry.
Yeah, no, so just like Jim was saying, there's a lot of different kinds of partnerships. So just reach out and we can talk through things.
One way I like to bring, if it's something new, I like to bring in Nate. He runs the STARS program, ESO STARS program. And that's where he works closely with OLC and UTTC. But we also do it with other tribal partners or people interested, and he'll go in and do a demo. What's it like doing open source stuff? And he'll do it and he'll customize it. He'll ask you, but he'll customize it to your res. So he's using data that's openly available on the internet. So he'll use your res boundaries, and just gather open data and just kind of do the demo. And it's a follow along if you want, but it's a demo to go through. Sometimes he calls those lunch and learns. We've gone into GIS or other science related classrooms just to do a 1 hour little something, and that might turn into a little bit more of a 3 hour session. And so those are things that we can do just to come in and and I don't know, just get things rolling, talking about it. So you can see what it looks like too. But you're going to experience that with this HYR-SENSE. And what I really like what NASA's doing is, like I said, I've been doing all the GIS remote sensing thing for over 20 years. And I'm so thankful NASA is doing hyperspectral and other types of data, because I've seen over the last 20 years and many trainings on class supervised and unsupervised classification of Landsat data, which is great. Don't stop that. But I wanted more. And so this is great. I'd like to thank NASA for doing something very unique and different and meaningful. And back to getting something out of this is data infrastructure. They're like, Jim, I like to use LiDAR. LiDAR is my favorite thing. I want LiDAR for my whole res. It's like, well, how deep's your pocketbook? First of all, if you want it on your res. So you need a computer stack, right? I can't tell you all the ins and outs of computer stacks, but you're going to need probably terabytes of data. But do you need to do that? Some tribes might just want to download it and have it all. Or do you just want something done with LiDAR and do it all and do the terabytes of analytics in the cloud and just bring down and download to your computer what it spat out? Even a hillshade. If you do a hillshade of a reservation wide, man, I haven't been able to at Pine Ridge. I was trying, but couldn't get there. My computer couldn't handle it. And just simple products like that. A 1 meter elevation would be awesome to have. Hillshade contours, would just be great. And to have years of NASA imagery at your disposal. And so what you're going to learn is the beginning of that infrastructure to say, well, do you want to have it all? You're going to need to either buy space somewhere or have your own computer system or learn how to do all that. What's that called? API? Did I say the right word, Aya? When you do that, when you process in the cloud before you bring it in? API, is that right? Do you know, Jason?
Yes,
What?
yes,
Whatever Eric said.
I'll put it in the chat.
So what I mean is, let's say I want to do a LiDAR project in Pine Ridge. It's going to be in the terabytes of LiDAR data file size. I don't need to download any of that. I can say, go to USGS site, unzip it because it's zipped, right? Before I'd have to download every single tile individually. But instead I can just have this process that Eric VSI do it all in the cloud. Say unzip it for me, put all the tiles together, make one giant tile, and I want a hillshade of that. And so download the hillshade, which would still be pretty big, but manageable. And all the rest of it just goes away, right? And you don't, all that terabytes of data just goes away, which is pretty cool. This is another way to work with big data. Or especially if you're doing climate, like Ty does a climate futures toolbox and 100-year analysis. Man, think of all that data, 100 years of data. You don't want to download all that. Thanks, Eric. I'm still learning his world, so.
For sure. Yeah, no, it is. This technology is really cool. So definitely check it out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Optimized GeoTIFF. So is that where I could work with a NAPE image? Whoops, what happened? So if I were to work with a NAPE image and I start doing things into it and it's in a Mr. Sid, you know, at 1.5 gigs, but if I do something to it, it immediately goes to like, I don't know, 40, 60 gigs. This offers that alternative way to work with such a TIFF, right? Did I explain that right?
Yeah, it requires a little bit more infrastructure on the file structure, but yeah, that's exactly right. You can subset, large files and work with them without having to download the whole thing to your machine and hold it in RAM.
I mean, that's all I have. I look forward to meeting you all in person, shake your hand, and be sure to, also in the middle of your training, speak up. If you get behind, you don't want to get behind, but there's plenty of us there to take you off to the side if you get behind, and which is pretty cool to have. It's like multi-teachers there, one leading it, but then you'll have several in there to, you know, like me, I'm slow. I would slow down a whole class, but they figured people like me out and say, no, come over, catch you up real quick. Um, so looking forward to anybody willing to speak up about anything, share any experiences, you're welcome to.
Yes, this will be graded.
So just kind of, hi, this is Cody. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So just kind of going back to your tribal identification stuff. So I work with the Shoshone-Bannock tribes out in Idaho, and there have been numerous occasions where federal partners or other partners, be it industry, whatever, um, you know, kind of see it as potato. They're like, oh well, your nation. Like, well, we're this tribe likes to be identified as tribes, you know, it'd probably be wise of you guys to use the correct term. And it's always, I mean, but it's one of those things where you really can't please everybody too. So then, where I'm from, I'm Navajo and we're a nation, but then you get into people that want to say Dine, so it's can't please everybody. So, and, but, I mean, but at least with our partners, I always try to sit there and tell them, well, they'd like to be identified as tribes. There's more than one tribe residing here within these boundaries. And yeah, so I think that's a really important thing to kind of always highlight with partners as they come and go.
And for them to just ask you, right? If they don't know, they can speak up too, instead of, trying to assume.
It's on the paperwork.
Yeah.
And it's on the sign as you write in, right? So It doesn't matter what road you come in on. It's on the sign.
Oh, yeah.
Eva, can you tell us a story and start with a honey? No, it's not the winter time. Maybe. This is not the time to tell stories, huh?
It's always time to tell stories, except for NSF site visit. Well, that too, maybe. But I don't think I have anything more. I have plenty more, but we'll be hanging out together. Oh, you have something, Rachel?
I was just gonna give a couple announcements or reminders, if that's okay, since everyone's here. This recording I will put onto the GitHub or the HYR-SENSE website under the pre-trainings. And we have Mondays is already up there. So if you weren't able to attend the training on Monday, or you want to watch it again and rewind and pause, it's there for you. We have office hours on Friday from 11 to 1 Mountain Time. So if you didn't attend Monday, it'd be great if you go over the training and then you have a chance to meet with us on Friday and ask any questions about GitHub and HYR-SENSE and Jupyter Notebooks and all of that. So those are my updates. And then we have a couple of optional trainings in June. So on June 4th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time is an optional training, and on June 6th at 10 a.m. is an optional training as well. And we will add those to the website as well. Yes, Panda.
Yeah, for the office hours, is it like traditional office hours where you could just jump in at any time and then get some support and then jump back out?
Yes, I believe so. Eric, is that right?
Yeah, feel free to stop in for as long or as little as you need. So I'll just be there from 11 to 2, just hanging out on Zoom. So
Okay, thank you.
One other thing I wanted to mention about data is the USGS has made an effort to block LiDAR data of your res if you want, if your tribe wants to. And then you just ask them for permission and so just for transparency mainly. And well, it's up to that tribe, I should say. You know, I did speak with the USGS people, a large group of them recently, but I told them I found loopholes into their data still. And I thought if I can find loopholes, I bet these data scientists can find more loopholes and how, but they were unaware of that. They're going to look into it, you know, but they did block their websites for like the Rosebud Sioux tribe, and there's other tribes. But just know, you know, they were the least entity I'd expect to make that initiative. So it's pretty cool. They were at least willing to try and do something a little different, which is kind of cool. And so, but know that if your tribe did do it or is doing it, know that there are other ways probably. I bet I can still get in, you know, and do that. And so I've asked USGS and I think NASA too, and I know I've asked the USDA. They all like the idea of at least pop-ups. Let's say a university faculty wants to do research in this area. They put a box around data they want to get, but it happens to be on tribal lands. And so just pop-ups. You say you're about to download data from, you know, the Rosebud Sioux tribe. Here's who to contact at the tribe, and if you have a TCU, here's who to contact there if you want to work with them. So at least that to say, you know, here's who to work with, because I do get a lot from university faculty saying we don't know who to contact working with a project, any tribes or any tribal entities, you know, although they could look, but anyway, so there's that.
I just wanted to echo, Jim, what you were saying about speaking up and how important that is. I know it can feel very uncomfortable, but we've really tried to curate a really strong facilitation team here that's wanting to listen to you all and really wants to hear, you know, how you're feeling, what your thoughts are. what you want to see. So at any point, even if it's beforehand, you want to email us just to ask a question, you want to email us, be like, can we do this during the course? Can I learn this during the course? And, you know, we're agile, we can change, we can shift. This course is, but from its inception, been about you all and for you all. So we want to make it the best experience possible. And I will open up myself as a resource. If something comes up, feel free to reach out. If there's a problem with me, feel free to reach out to Rachel or Jim. Or, you know, so you've got plenty of options, and you've got a team here to support you through this.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't really talked about with anybody this, but I like to form working groups around any topic. And I would be interested, if you're all interested, on continuing this HYR-SENSE through a working group, or maybe we meet every couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, to talk about this. Maybe little demos or trainings are done, you know, during that time, or set up with you individually, or your institution on the side that could be set up, or, you know, but to continue this through a working group where we can network that and continue this is, you know, it's just an hour every couple weeks or a few weeks or whatever you decide, just so a way to continue this, which is, I think it's going to be cool, because I don't know about you, but I was scared going into this, like looking at all that programming language. I go, how in the heck am I going to do that? Well, know that most of it's copy and paste from someone. These data scientists or these programmers have already set these up for us. We just need to learn how and when to copy and paste a lot of it. And so, and a lot of it's set up for us already. So it just depending how deep you want to go. So you just need to know a little really to make cool things happen. Or if you want to be the do-it-all person, you know, you dive in deeper. And so multiple levels on what you want to do, you know, so. So I'm still scared, but I love it. It's cool.